you are watching Shalom World News. I am Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Believers thronged St. Peter's Basilica on Monday, January the 2nd, where the body of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is lying in state for the public to pay their respects. The body of the former pontiff will lie in state until Thursday, when his funeral will take place. The funeral mass will start at 9:30 a.m. Rome time. Registration is not necessary to attend the mass. The Vatican on Sunday shared the first photos of the Pope Emeritus since his death on December the 31st. The photos were taken on the morning of January the 1st in the Mater Ecclesiae Monastery's chapel, where Pope Benedict's body was kept. Benedict XVI was dressed in red and gold vestments and wearing a gold mitre, with his hands clutching a rosary. Popes are traditionally dressed in red for their funerals. Meanwhile, tributes poured in from around the world and from church leaders for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. US President Joe Biden recalled spending time with Benedict XVI at the Vatican in 2011 and said he was a distinguished theologian with a lifetime of dedication to the Church, guided by his convictions and his faith. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni hailed Benedict XVI as a giant of faith and reason and a great man whom history will not forget. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called Benedict a great theologian whose UK visit in 2010 was a historic moment for both Catholics and non-Catholics alike. The head of the Russian Orthodox Church and the Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury sent messages expressing their sadness over the death of Pope Emeritus Benedict. Patriarch Kirill of the Russian Church said that it was with sadness that he received news of the passing of Benedict XVI. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said he joins with Pope Francis and all the Catholic Church in mourning the death of Pope Benedict XVI. Archbishop Timothy Broglio of the Archdiocese for the Military Services in the United States and President of the US Conference of Catholic Bishops issued a reflection on the Pope Emeritus. He said he was a superb theologian who lent his talents at the Second Vatican Council and continued throughout his long life to be an effective teacher of the faith. On December the 31st, the Vatican released the Spiritual Testament of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, which was written almost 17 years ago on August the 29th in 2006. In the testament, he reflects on the decades he has lived through in his life and writes about the things he has to be grateful for. He gives thanks to his parents, who through their love and enormous sacrifice prepared for him a lovely home that brightened his days. He also thanks his elder brother and sister. In his testimony, he also expresses gratitude to his country because it has allowed him to repeatedly experience the beauty of faith. Pope Benedict asks God in the testament to implore his fellow citizens not to turn away from their faith. His Holiness also urges the Church to stand firm in her faith. He expresses his gratitude to the Lord for giving him a wonderful home in the Bavarian Alps foothills, where he has always witnessed the majesty of the Creator himself shining through. Pope Francis presided over the customary end-of-year celebration of Vespers, which was followed by the Church's solemn hymn of thanksgiving for the previous year, the Te Deum. The New Year's Eve ceremony was held at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. In his homily, the Pope recalled the tremendous generosity, the witness of faith and prayer of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, who passed away earlier in the morning. During the service of evening prayer on the Solemnity of Mary, Most Holy Mother of God, the Pope's homily's core word was kindness. The Pope stressed that kindness can also be a civic virtue and can do wonders in helping improve our societies. The Pope continued by highlighting how kindness might enhance our families, communities and cities and emphasizing how it could be promoted as a personal and societal virtue. Lord, I love you. These were the last words of Pope Benedict XVI before breathing his last at the Mater Ecclesiae monastery in the Vatican on Saturday. As Vatican News reports, the last words of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI were heard in the middle of the night by a nurse. It was about 3 a.m. on December the 31st, a few hours before his death. The Pope Emeritus's last words were confirmed by Benedict XVI's secretary, Archbishop Georg Genswein. Archbishop Genswein said he wasn't there at the time, but the nurse told him shortly after. The Archbishop said they were his last comprehensible words. Pope Francis remembered his predecessor at the New Year's Day Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, entrusting him to the intercession of the Virgin Mary. At the Angelus, where close to 40,000 faithful and visitors gathered in St. Peter's Square, he asked them to pray unitedly for Benedict XVI's soul. In the new year, the Pope urged everyone to consider Mary and consider how one can grow from her example and live their lives. The Holy Father pointed out that the language appropriate to Mother Mary is maternal, since she gently tends to the Christ child while demonstrating her magnificence humbly and silently, with the child at the centre of attention. The Holy Father said Mother Mary's example serves as a reminder that if we want the new year to be good and for hope to grow, we must give up self-serving behaviours and learn the language of love. Believers and clergy attended a Mass for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI at the St. Magdalena Church in Altötting in Germany on December the 31st. Located in Benedict XVI's Bavarian homeland, the church was filled with mourners on Saturday as one of this region's most famous sons passed away. As mourners stood in line to register their sorrow, in a book of condolence set out next to a black-framed photograph of the smiling Pope in front of the altar, parents clutched their children's hands as older couples and nuns watched in silence. Because of their shared background, many Catholic Bavarians have long felt a special connection to Pope Benedict and have referred to him as the Bavarian Pope. Benedict XVI had a special devotion to a statue of the Virgin Mary in this town. As a young child, Benedict XVI frequently visited this location with his parents to pray before the statue, which is known as the Black Madonna. 18 missionaries were killed worldwide in 2022. That is according to data acquired by Agencia Fides. They include 12 priests, 1 male religious, 3 religious women, 1 seminarian and 1 layperson. The greatest recorded number of missionaries killed collectively this year was 9, including 7 priests and 2 religious women who lost their lives in Africa. This was followed by 8 missionaries killed in Latin America. They include 4 priests, 1 male religious, 1 religious woman, 1 seminarian and 1 layperson. 1 priest was killed in Asia last year. For 8 years, from 2011 to 2021, more were killed in the Americas than anywhere else, and it was the turn of Africa in 2018, 2019 and in 2021. The small, landlocked, contested region of Nagorno-Karabakh, wedged between Armenia and Azerbaijan, is once more in a state of chaos. This region, also known as Artsakh, and primarily populated by Armenian Christians, has been a source of contention for many years. On December the 12th, Azerbaijan reportedly blocked the Lachin Corridor, the only land route into Nagorno-Karabakh, cutting off access to food, medicines and transportation between the region and Armenia. As the second week of that blockage approaches, the level of desperation is rising. The situation is so bad that on Monday, several human rights organizations warned of genocide. In 2020, the war between Azerbaijan and the fighters of Artsakh, who were supported by Armenia, resulted in thousands of casualties and the destruction of homes and historic monuments, including centuries-old churches and monasteries. This week, archaeologists in Israel revealed plans to dig and unveil to the public for the first time the location where Jesus Christ healed a blind man at the Pool of Siloam. The excavation of the Pool of Siloam in Jerusalem was announced on Tuesday by the Israel National Parks Authority, the Israel Antiquities Authority, and the City of David Foundation. Mayor of Jerusalem Moshe Lyon said that after many years of anticipation, they will soon start revealing this significant site and opening it up to the millions of tourists and visitors that come to Jerusalem each year. The healing of a blind man by Jesus at the Pool of Siloam is detailed in John's Gospel. According to the scripture, the Lord spat on the earth and used his saliva to turn it into mud, which was applied to the blind man's eyes, after which he was healed. This is the first time the entire Pool of Siloam will be exposed. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.